Hi, and welcome to the Growing Solar Podcast. I'm Matt Rea, Director of Marketing at GreenLancer, and I'm thrilled to be joined by a fellow GreenLancer employee today, Jeremy Duston. Jeremy has been at GreenLancer for over 8 years, working in everything from engineering, production, specializes in solar PV, and now he's finally ended up at his role now, which is the VP of Customer and Partner Success. Jeremy's extremely passionate about solar, and he's a thought leader in the industry. Jeremy, excited to have you here. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks, man. It's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely. So first of all, give us a little bit about your solar journey, how you ended up at GreenLancer, and what your journey's been since you've kind of joined the team.
Yeah, happy to elaborate. It started at a career fair, actually, at the University of Michigan. I just graduated with my engineering degree, and I had met the CEO at the time at a career fair, and the rest is history. I got hired in as an intern in 2013. And at the time, I was doing a lot of proposal work, permitting work, still very new to the industry. So, was just trying to be as much of a sponge as possible, trying to soak up everything that I could about the industry. And, once I started working at GreenLancer, immediately fell in love with the company, fell in love with the culture, the vision that the company had. And, just to put the cherry on top, we're doing it in a clean and growing industry. So after, becoming more familiar with the industry, learning the technical side of the business, I was able to take those skills and apply it to, help our customers out with that expertise and be able to support them, talk with them on the phone through some of the problems they were having. And, being starting out as a nationwide company, you see, pretty much a little bit of everything, from issues down in Florida to California and everywhere in between. So that's kind of how I transitioned into supporting more of our customers more, just, leaning on my expertise in the industry, really help them out, help them grow, and help them become successful. The dollars are the backbone of this, this industry, so it's really been, a pleasure helping them out. And that's kind of led to the role that I'm in now. I want to continue doing that and, doing it to the best of my abilities.
Right. So when you were an engineer studying for your engineering degree, did you always know that solar was where you'd end up, or were you kind of just like fresh out of college, I'll take whatever comes across my plate?
It was definitely the latter. I was looking for a job. I wanted to get hired somewhere. I was ready to work. I was young, ambitious, and I was very fortunate that I ran into GreenLancer, and always knew that I wanted to do something that would make a positive impact, and very fortunate that this was the answer for me. Yeah,
and so I mean, you've definitely, being here for 8 years, you've grown as the solar industry's grown. You've grown as the company's grown, and now you're in this role of customer success. And I know you touched on it a little bit, but what does that role entail day to day, right? Like, what are the functions of that job that kind of help GreenLancer and help our customer base?
Yeah, absolutely. It's really just understanding, what's needed on the permitting side, and really understanding what these installers need and supporting them everywhere we can. We've worked with this day in and day out. So for installers to be able to call us and lean on us for, what we do, what we've been doing for the past, 8-10 years since the launch of the company is valuable. And we want to continue bringing that value to those customers, solving the real pain in the industry, which is, hard soft costs, low turnaround on permitting sides, and really just, we're more efficient for our installers. They do great work, especially the ones doing, good quality work. I want to support them any way I can. They're the ones that are making this industry grow. And, it's been great, working with them.
Right. So you started out as an engineer doing proposal work. So, I mean, you've seen the issues that installers have to deal with, and you've kind of worked through all of that, all of those pain points. What are some of the things that are consistent as far as like problems that installers run into with the permitting process?
Yeah, sure. I would just say it's it's just getting that experience, understanding how the industry works. And at the end of the day, building departments, plan reviewers, they have a job to do as well. They want to make sure that, every installation that they approve, that they issue permits for, is going to be done according to code. It's not going to burn down any houses. And, at the end of the day, it's understanding that and trying to give all of our, installers the tools they need to be able to combat that. And, if we kind of consider it that, we're all on the same team trying to pull in the same direction, it kind of changes the perspective of how we approach these issues.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's there's obviously competition within solar amongst installers, but it's also like we are trying to fit into a larger energy infrastructure that's currently in place. And solar is kind of still figuring out where we fit in and kind of fighting our way into a spot to make renewables a plausible answer for our country's energy solutions. So I want to kind of shift gears again, but what has changed about the solar industry since you've started? I think you were probably part of the industry when it was really young. And how does that change? How does that change how you approach work specifically?
Sure, it's just exciting to start. We're still very much in a growing industry. We're seeing more installers getting into the industry, penetrating the market. We're seeing better technology, both on the panel side, the inverter side, the battery side, that's enabling more and more installers to enter the market. So we're very much still seeing that same growth, but it's becoming a larger market, which is, very exciting for us as we, grow our business and support customers.
Right. And I know you have a lot of experience in both residential and commercial permitting, design, engineering. If I'm a new installer, not a new installer, if I'm a residential installer and I'm ready to take the step into commercial, which is, obviously bigger ticket items, more work to be done. What are some tips you have for those installers that want to take that step?
Sure. I say go for it. I say, do your research, make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, but, go for it. It's definitely, growing on the commercial side as well. We're seeing more opportunities there, but, it's definitely a different industry, a different way to approach that type of installation, different sales cycle, different design cycle, and really got to make sure you know what you're getting yourself into, before get over your head, and then that perception is passed on to the business owner, and you never want that. You always want to make sure that you've done your homework, you come prepared to the table, and you're ready to tackle any challenge, because they're gonna come up, right? Things happen during installation, and especially as being newer into like maybe commercial installations, it's gonna happen. So just take it in stride and do everything you can to that you're prepared for whatever comes up.
Yeah. And then what about permitting? I mean, if I'm a new installer, I think permitting is probably the most complex process. It's easy to get on the roof and install, but the red tape before that is probably something a lot of new installers are not familiar with. What kind of tips or advice do you have for new installers who are trying to break in? How do they deal with that process and make it as painless as possible?
Well, I have the utmost respect for installers and what they do, especially quality installers who do their homework. So I, definitely want to give kudos to what they do, but, to give advice on the permitting side, talk to us. To put a shameless plug in for GreenLancer. We know the industry. We've been doing this for a while. We know how these things work. Happy to give advice, offer, recommendations to how you should approach different issues, different AHJs. But at this point, there's very few things that we haven't seen in this industry. And so we're prepared for, pardon for the terrible pun, anything under the sun.
Right. Speaking of puns, a lot of solar industries out there with puns as it relates to their company name. So just something that maybe we should do a podcast where we just talk about our favorite solar industry company name puns.
I love it.
There's a lot of good ones out there.
More and more of them. Oh yeah. A lot of great companies, a lot of great names, and we love to see them grow. It's always really exciting to see these companies, stick it out for, year after year, and especially after this, this pandemic, to see the customers stick around and continue to get after it, knocking on doors, putting panels on roofs. We love to see it.
Yeah. And so, I mean, I don't know if this is necessarily a question, but have you seen companies that have started off as small companies and grown to a national presence? Like, is that commonplace?
Yeah, it's. I would say we have seen it, absolutely, and we encourage it. It's always encouraging to hear installers call us and say hey, we're moving into Carolinas, we're moving into Virginia, we're moving into these different states. Especially if the company is taking that approach. We also work with companies that love to specialize in their local markets, which is very respectable. They know the area, building departments. But as we've seen, there's the market is ripe for growth and opportunity. So it happens a lot, and we want to encourage that growth.
Mm-hmm. And I think obviously on the GreenLancer platform, we get a lot of installers coming in and looking for a solution, really. But from your experience and talking to a lot of these installers, what are their pain points before they join GreenLancer? What are the issues that they deal with when it comes to design and engineering for solar?
Yeah, that's a good question. I would say most of it is just the lack of knowledge with the process of permitting, and what plan reviewers look at, and what's important to put in those designs, what's important to consider, making sure that everything is I's are dotted, T's are crossed. I would say it's very new, for someone who hasn't seen this type of thing. Pulling permits for a solar panel installation is a much different process than pulling a permit for a roofing contract job. It's a different process. It involves a lot more information, a lot more back and forth with the building department, so that all codes and notes are included and going to adhere to those types of codes that are being adopted.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of permits, obviously the industry is trying to do its best to make it easier for installers to get boots on the roof. And I know you actually posted the other day on LinkedIn about automated permitting and how there's projects in the works to try and expedite that. Can you talk a little bit about how that's going to help grow the installer base and grow the solar industry?
Oh, it's going to be huge. It's something where just the time delays and the costs that go into these types of designs, to see that simplified and almost essentially get rid of it is going to be huge for installers. It's more money in the installers' pockets, more money in the homeowners' pockets, so that they can focus on what truly matters in this industry, which is actually getting up on that roof and putting these panels up there, wherever they need to go. I would say that we're excited to see where this grows. They very much in an early adoption stage, or something like this. But we're very excited to see where this goes and how it benefits installers in the end run.
Now, I mean, that is obviously awesome. Should we be worried about liabilities? Should we be worried about kind of cowboy type installers that do things their own way? Is that an issue that you see kind of arising?
It will. There's, I can't speak for every, there's good installers, and you don't want to taint their name. We love the work they do, but you're right. There will be, installers that try to kind of skimp around or maybe cut some corners. And, what I would say is really just, really stick after it. A lot of these potential deficiencies in installations will get caught instead of on the permitting submittal, it will be caught upon final inspection. So in the case where an installation isn't done, to code, then the installer is going to be the one put in a tough spot of having to redo the work, redo shoddy workmanship, or
right.
they, add the right equipment to make sure it does meet code. So there is that will be a challenge, and there will be some headaches that come from that. But as with anything new, you just got to persevere through the the uncertainty and get to what you know best.
Right. It's obviously it's much more beneficial for the installer to do their due diligence up front, because it's going to catch up with them whether or not they have to apply for permits or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, you would hate to see have to get up on the roof, take all the panels down again for something that didn't could have been caught much earlier in the process.
Yeah. So maybe not solar specific, but like as far as renewables, what are you seeing as some of the trends, or what are some things that installers or just companies in this space should be looking out for?
Yeah, sure. The energy sector right now is under intense scrutiny right now, as it should be. And looking at what's happening in places like Texas, California, it's good to get these issues out in front of the public. This needs to be known, to know where exactly these issues are stemming from and how renewables can help. I think that solar plus storage is going to be it continues to grow, and it's going to continue coming on stronger and better than ever, especially as battery technology increases. I see nothing but growth. Really excited to see where that goes, where that takes us.
Awesome. Yeah. Okay, so last question, and then we'll wrap it up. What would you tell a young Jeremy Duston who's just starting out in the solar industry, who started 8 years ago? What would you tell him to look out for?
Oh man. So I guess to keep it short here, to stay ambitious. Stay eager, stay excited. Don't get caught in the weeds. There's bigger things to worry about here. Keep your eye on the prize, and just stay resilient. This is something that's definitely worth fighting for. And seeing these beautiful installs from installers, photos of these beautiful homes with large solar systems on them, and these commercial buildings, huge fields full of solar is just it's very rewarding. So yeah, continue to push through that, and it'll definitely be worth it.
Awesome. All right, Jeremy, that's a wrap, man. I really appreciate you hopping on, and stay tuned for the next version of the Growing Solar podcast.
Thanks, Matt. Pleasure.